James Harden will face the Clippers at 7:30. Harden just doing historic things yet again. Here is the proof of exactly what James Harden has been doing through the first 10 games. Some elite company. Yeah, the most points through those first 10 games in the last 50 years. Brendan, you told us last week that Harden's percentages were going to go up, and you were absolutely right. In those last 5 games, that's exactly the case.
He's a great player. He's too great to be held down. You know, great players, they might go through ups and downs, but they're never going to be cold for too long of a stretch. We knew Harden was going to go, and was going to take this up another level. We knew he was going to be more efficient, and now we're starting to see the vintage James Harden.
Yeah, and that probably was a scary thing, that he was averaging those points while not shooting the ball well. And now that he's hot, I mean, who knows what can happen?
Well, 4 wins in a row. That's what we're seeing, Zeke. Yeah. You know, as far as the win column, that's really the difference with the Houston Rockets. And it seems like they figured it out with Russell Westbrook. He's taking about 18 shots a game, and there's still 3rd in the league in offensive efficiency. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
It is. You still look at him, though, and you say, okay, I think these two can play better.
Right.
I know they can play better, and I know Houston can be better. Can they keep improving month to month? And I believe they will. And if they do, I mean, we thought they would be scary, but, man, if they keep putting up these kind of numbers, look out.
Yeah, I think in the regular season, Houston is definitely going to be one of the better teams in the Western Conference. Mike D'Antoni, yet again, has made this work. 2 ball-dominant guards fitting in his system. We had questions about when Chris Paul joined this team a couple of seasons ago. Same thing this year with Russell. And Mike D'Antoni, every time, has made little concessions that have made the transition seem seamless and smooth. And we're seeing the Houston Rockets play well. Still have questions about them in the playoffs.
Got questions.
In the playoffs, James got to prove it to me in the playoffs. But in the regular season, I think the Houston Rockets will be a top 3 seed all year long.
Yeah, to that point, 2 years ago, when it seemed like Houston was poised to make a playoff run, 7th in the NBA in defensive efficiency so far this season, 20th. So at some point, you hope they figure it out on that end of the court.
That ain't going to happen.
Not going to happen with this group.
You don't think so, man?
No. I mean, they're never going to be a defensive juggernaut. I think their offense is always going to be their threat, and that's going to be the thing that has to sustain them. Defensively, I just don't see them having the willingness and the temperament to really, like, say, okay, we're going to be a juggernaut as a defensive team.
Well, that's going to be a problem for them, because when you look at both those LA teams, they play defense. The Lakers are a very good defensive team. The Clippers getting Paul George back, they're going to be even better defensively. A lot of defensive teams out there. If you're trying to go to the NBA Finals, it can't just be all offense.
Hey, I watched all the videos this summer of James and everybody working out. I didn't see one NBA player doing no defensive slide.
Man, don't nobody want to see that.
Everybody was working on their offense.
Hey, Zeke, man, you can't get your likes up on Instagram posting defensive slide videos, man. You got to show some crazy threes.
Some defensive slides with the oxygen mask on, jumping up and down on that box. They ain't going to get you none.
That's not going to cut it. That's not going to fly.
Well, you mentioned something that seems to be, we just all agree that this is the LA Clippers' identity defensively. They're 11th in defensive rating, so you'd expect them to be higher. Do you think that's just Paul George's absence, or why do you suppose they're not higher as far as being a defensive team?
Well, I think Paul George isn't there, so when you get arguably, I think Paul George last year...
Who's supposed to return against the Pelicans tomorrow?
Last year, Paul George was probably the best 2-way player in the league. When you look at where he was as far as being on as far as MVP voting and being on All-NBA, he's the best 2-way guy we have in the league right now. So when you look at Paul George coming back, they have 2 of the best wing defenders in the league. You still got Patrick Beverley at the point guard spot. This Clipper team defensively, they're not going to be at their best until Paul George is in shape and figuring out this whole team system and dynamic. So look for this Clippers team to probably be hitting at their best around January. Defensively, that's when I'll be looking at them, because I think when they get it all together, they're going to be able to lock down.
I agree with you. I mean, when you got Beverley at the point and you got those 2 wings in terms of George and Kawhi, I mean, defensively, I can't think of 3 better defensive perimeter players on one side of the ball that, you know, Pippen and Jordan were a tandem, but when you talk about, you know, 3 players, you know, and the triangle in terms of Beverley, Leonard, and George, I don't know if I've seen 3 better perimeter players on one team that has the potential to shut down the perimeter like they do.
So Doc Rivers, coach of the Clippers, said that Paul George is expected to play on Thursday against the Pelicans. Zeke, what are you expecting from may play against the Pelicans? What are you expecting from him if he does take the court?
You know, that first time out, all of us from injury, right? We've worked hard and everything else. And we normally come out and we have a good first game, right? We shoot the ball well, we defend well, everything's cool. And you go back home and you're in a hotel room or whatever, and you're like, oh, man, I'm ready. And then the next game, you 1 for 9.
Yep.
The game after that, you know, you're 2 for 10. So I expect Paul to have a good first game out, but I do expect after that, the next 6 to 7 games, there's going to be some adjustment.
I expect his first game, he's going to come out, like you said, Zeke, he's going to be on an adrenaline high.
Yeah. He's
been waiting to get out there, chomping at the bit. I expect Paul George to have an excellent game. And then you look at the team, the Pelicans, that should be a good matchup for him as well. But then, like what you said, you go to your hotel room. The next day, you wake up, you're sore. You haven't played these minutes in a long time. You're sore. You're a little bit achy. The next matchup, you're not feeling quite as well. The adrenaline's not quite as high. So Paul George is going to be a roller coaster ride until he gets in shape and he figures out his role on this team. But don't worry. Come January, he'll be just fine.
Well, we just got that Paul George update that he may play tomorrow. Let's take a look around the league at some other news and notes. Second night of a back-to-back tonight. Anthony Davis out. Joel Embiid also out with a knee injury. And then Iman Shumpert has signed with the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn had an extra roster spot till Wilson Chandler's 25-game suspension ends in December.
I'm happy Iman got a deal. Congrats, Iman. I'm glad Shump's back in the league.
So am I.
Hey, for our Twitter friends out there, get your questions ready for Zeke and Brendan. Hit us up, and they'll answer your questions later on in the show.
Ask Brendan all the questions.
Tobias Harris getting ready to face one of his former teams, the Orlando Magic. That one tips off at 7 o'clock. No Joel Embiid, so imagine an up and play for Tobias. You're watching a warm-up presented by 4.